I want to talk about Paolo Banchero, Steve. And as we were talking about a little bit offline, it's not like we haven't talked about Paolo on the show before. I think he's a very loud case to me of a talented, physically overwhelming player that doesn't have like the advanced or the impact metrics to match. And so it kind of creates this dissonance for me and for a lot of people where it's like you watch him, especially on the good nights, and here's this 6'10" dude with broad shoulders that nobody can deal with on drives. And then you send double teams to him and he's making all these passes, which funny enough, quietly, the Magic 6-3 in their last 9 games. And the playmaking from Paolo Banchero has been very good over this stretch of games. So I want to sprinkle that in. But like you see him on those nights, it's like, holy crap, what do we do? Or you go back to the playoff appearances that the Magic haven't won yet, but it's like, oh, well, Paolo has the mid-range jumper going in these series. Smaller sample size, but if he's got the midi going and he's driving into the free throw line and he's making plays, this is the offensive engine that the Magic envision. But then you watch him on other nights and it's, why did Paolo take this shot? Why did Paolo catch and hold here? What are these turnovers? Why did he pass up this look? What is the screens looking like? Hey, he kind of fell asleep a little bit defensively. We'll say overall, like I appreciate like the off-ball defense from Paolo, some of the rim protection, but you do still have those moments like, okay, who is he guarding? Those kind of things. And then you zoom out, and this is yet another year where Paolo has solid box score stuff, 22 a night, career high 8.5 rebounds, 5 assists, nearly a steal on the block. And the Magic have once again been outscored in his minutes. And this has been something that has been consistent pretty much his entire career. Just so far this year, over 1,600 minutes for Paolo on the floor, pretty much net neutral, but it's a minus 0.5 net rating in those minutes. With Paolo off the floor, it's a plus 2.1 in over 1,100 minutes. For Paolo's career, minus 1.5 net rating in nearly 9,000 minutes. That includes regular season, that includes playoffs, etc. With him off the floor, it's a plus 2.1. So they're about 3, maybe 4 points better without Paolo on the floor, or they have outscored opponents without Paolo on the floor. That becomes a louder conversation when you juxtapose that with the Franz Wagner experience. You look at what that has been across the career. Paolo on the floor without Franz, minus 5.5 net rating in over 3,800 minutes. Franz without Paolo is nearly a plus 6 per 100 possessions in over 3,200 minutes. And so it just kind of takes me to Paolo is very obviously good, but there are also very obvious growth areas for him. The roster context, especially if we're broadening it out throughout his whole career, hasn't always been ideal for him. But because of the player archetype he is, it doesn't always make it easy to fit in a bunch of different player types to make those kind of things work. And so now it's just like, I want to have this conversation with you because I know we can have a normal conversation about Paolo to where we can acknowledge this is where he's good. Also, this is where he hurts. And I'm just in a weird place with the Paolo experience. And it feels like the conversation around him has gotten louder in light of Orlando having this weird injury-riddled role-shifting season.
Mm-hmm. Well, let's pause right there because I think there are a couple things that have happened here. One, I'll set it up with this. So when we talk about polarizing players, I personally struggle with that because I feel like it's the conversation that is polarizing and not necessarily the player. I think there's there's strengths and weaknesses in all basketball players. I personally believe basketball is art. It's not science. It's not math. There's highs, there's lows, there's things you got to figure out. There's ways you can get better and improve. There's different things that you can kind of enhance, like fit, opportunity, context can change a player. You can think about a player one way with one team, looks different in another team because he has to do something completely different. Like there's just a lot that goes into the pot. But I think the problem with the Paolo conversation is a lot has gone into the pot and we're just kind of submerging a whole lot of things and it's gotten real loud because the quote unquote bad Paolo experience is loud for people. If you're not a fan of mid-range jump shots or catch and holds or one-on-one attacks, you're going to watch Paolo take some of those shots, miss, and be like, see, this is what he does. And you're not necessarily going to see some of the times where, okay, he gets to pass and cut action, pitch action. He makes a couple dribbles, draws defense, makes a kick. He made it the right read. He made the right play. The Magic didn't make a shot. We're not necessarily giving Paolo credit for that. I think it also converges with the Franz Wagner deal where it's like, okay, we're not just kind of talking about them as a duo. We're doing the Jason Tatum and Jalen thing. And so they're not as good as the Celtics were. So we're just kind of saying Franz is better and we're leaving it there. So now we're having a conversation about Paolo, the archetype, right? And now we're having who's the better Magic player. And then the Magic aren't winning. And now Franz hasn't been on the court when the Magic aren't winning. And we have the subtext of when Paolo was out, Franz and the Magic were winning a little bit, or Franz performing well. And we're putting that all in one big pot. I don't know if we have to do that. For me, with Paolo, it's been about quick decisions for him. When he makes quick decisions, he generally has a good outcome. You know, you can get mad. Like, he's one of the strongest drivers we've seen. Like, I'm going to put my head down, you're coming with me type finishes. That's not an easy thing to do. His ability to attack matchups is something that will enhance them in the playoffs if they were in a better position, in my eyes. I think for me, I had Orlando as a dark horse because, okay, you're going to have to defend Paolo and Franz with the people you don't necessarily want to put on them. The three-point shot has been what it is. So you're basically, you're hoping the drives hit and you're hoping the mid-range hits. And depending on how you feel about mid-range jumpers or the self-creation of those jumpers, it doesn't always feel great. In the Orlando context, offensively has slipped as the season has gone on, to where we've seen the highs of it, but we haven't seen the highs from it in a minute. Not to say that they can't score the basketball, it just has not felt like it did early in the season. And some of that you can, like, I don't think Paolo is blameless within this, but I think I don't want to use, what's the word below star, Nekias? Every really good player has their process, has their way of going about things, right? They have their gathers, their hesitations, their setups. And, you know, even you go back to that Houston-Orlando game, Kevin Durant has his setups. It worked but it took him about 4 times to get you in position to get to the rejet. You know, that's just kind of what it is. But how much do we give Paolo credit when, okay, I'm bringing the ball up, I'm trying to get to the point, the defense helps on my drive at the nail, now I kick, we're not making shots. Like, if you go back to that Houston-Orlando game, you watch that first quarter, Paolo's kicking the ball with regularity. So, okay, I can draw attention. I can make the right read. We're not making shots. Okay, I need to get a shot up. It's just a balance deal. But he's in the position, and the conversation has gotten so loud that what he does poorly, or what he struggles with, I should say, is louder to people. And you're just kind of stuck there, especially if you don't see the Magic but every so often, or you're looking at a box score and you're saying, oh, here goes Paolo, 8 for 22 again. Well, how did he get to 22 shots? What did the 8 look like? You know?
No, I'm with you. Like, I think, to your point, I agree that some of it goes too far. Like, when you get into, again, not saying this is like super widespread, but if you get into like Paolo's metrics, again, if you get into like EPM, and if you look at like what is this efficiency based, compared to league average, stuff like that, like, yes, it could be underwhelming when you consider like what his stature in the offense is, what the contract commitment is, et cetera. And I think there's like valid conversation to be had around if this is going to be the franchise guy for you, between him and Franz, of course. But like, if he's going to be your number one, if he's going to be your highest paid player, if this is who we're building the boat around, if you're going to have this many touches within an offense, there is just a baseline level of, you have to make, to your point, quick decisions. But ultimately, you have to make good decisions with the ball. If you are taking a lot of shots, there is just like a baseline level of efficiency that you need to hit to make that worth it, both on the court producing wins, but within a team building construct, you are a big salary slot too. And so, like, we have to get a certain level of quote unquote value out of this salary slot, because it is now tougher to build really good teams in light of the aprons and whatever's about to happen with the lottery and stuff, and how that may impact, trade logic across the league and things like that. So it's like, it's super important now, as Paolo's now transitioning from rookie scale contract to max. If you're number one, you have to produce like a number one, not to, parody a former number one pick in the NFL.
What are you talking about? You keep on here talking about cookies?
No. I love cookies, but no. But there's just like a baseline level there. So like, I think that part is fair. I don't think if Paolo underperforms certain baselines, that automatically mean he's bad. Like, I would like some of this conversation to be reframed. To your point, again, it's getting loud. You're mixing in a whole bunch of different stuff. But like, I do think it's worth having bigger picture conversations about like what this means if Paolo doesn't hit X consistently. And I think what makes it tougher to guard, or tougher to kind of sort through if you're in the Magic front office, or even if you're a Magic fan, is that if Paolo just was never a high impact guy at any stretch, for any like conceivable stretch, then it'd be easy to be like, all right, it's time to cut bait. Let's trade him, yada, yada. We're resetting the wheel. We're building around Franz and Bane and Jalen Suggs, and we go from there. The fact that we have seen like extended stretches of Paolo dominant driver, good playmaker, mismatch hunter. He unlocks things for us. He can save possessions for us with late clock shot making or foul drawing. So the fact that we've seen is like, please bottle this so we don't have to talk about or wonder or worry about this anymore. And so it's just kind of like bridging the gap between like, how do we get a more consistent version of the good Paolo, the quick decision-making Paolo, even the shot-making Paolo to that end? Because like, I don't think, we talk about it all the time across the history of the show. Like, do I think mid-range jumpers are inherently bad? No. If you're comparing them to rim shots and threes, like, there's a hierarchy for me. But if you're making enough of the mid-range shots, I love Shea. He takes a ton of middies. You know what I mean? But he's one of the best mid-range scorers in the league. Kevin Durant, same thing. Like, I appreciate that. If you are taking a bunch of them and also not making them, that's where I'm just like, hey, how can we refine this? Is this taking more threes? Is this being more intentional about getting to the rim? Which, to Paolo's credit, this is the highest share of shots at the rim that he's had in his career this year. Like, he deserves credit for that, even within this context. And he's still converting a pretty high share of shots at the rim on top of that. But like, okay, where's the refinement coming from? And again, to your earlier point, Steve, and I'll toss the mic to you, like, how much of this is Paolo just has to get better at XYZ versus this context does not set him up to be the best version of himself consistently? And like, how do you marry the two?
I just think when you think about players, sometimes the shots they take is to either set up or have a counterbalance to what they do very well, right? And so I think Paolo is driving the basketball. I think he also knows, boy, I need some of these mid-range jump shots to go so I can make my drive a little bit easier. So I don't have to now do an in and out when I get past half court and try and put my head down and have a shoulder in your chest at the free throw line every single time. If you're going to give me this gap, maybe I can just get a quick 1-2 dribble pull up, get 2 points on the board, and then, okay, now I can set you up with a fake, and now I can kind of lead the dance a little bit. We've seen players with this kind of archetype kind of dabble with that. Everyone used to yell at Giannis for mid-range jump shots and the type of ones he took. Took him a long time to figure it out. But boy, once he figured it out, how much fun did you have? And so there's growing pains. And I understand people talk about the value. These guys earn their way to certain status with teams by their play. And yes, that comes with a standard. It also comes with responsibility. It also comes with teams saying, hey, buddy, no, not you. We're going, whatever, all these things you do well, we're not going to allow you to do them well. And so I think for me, I don't necessarily yell at people who are like, well, Paolo is this, and that. But I'm like, okay, can we at least consider the fact that he does have talent? He may have shortcomings. Can we marry the two a little bit better than we do? It doesn't have to just be black. Like, it's not black and white. This stuff is gray. And so it's on Paolo to kind of make some of these improvements and make quick decisions. And, maybe it's getting him back to movement across the board. How much time does he get pick and roll in different areas of the floor, lower on the court, empty side, handoffs, pass and cut? Does he kind of have that movement, or is it like, hey, Paolo, attack and transition? Hey, make a play late in the clock. Hey, run pick and roll. What does that balance look like? Is that the opening he needs? Does he need more shooting? Does he need a better big to play with? Does he need, there's a lot of different things where it's like, could this look different if we just kind of enhance this? Or Paolo, so we're going to build around that. And now, hey, he's not making those shots anymore. This doesn't look as good. I don't know. I don't know the answer to that. But I think he's a really good basketball player. Potential to be better. Just don't let this turn. Just don't let this turn into the offensive Rudy Gobert conversation, please. whatever debates you're having, please just settle them, shake hands, and let's not do the tennis match, please. I don't need an offensive version of that.
Well, you see, Steve, it's already starting. If you haven't seen the graphic of like what Paolo's last 7 or 8 games or something like that, to where he's shooting well over 40% from three. But he's also shoot like it's like on one hand it's like, hey, Paolo's starting to knock jumpers down. What you got to say now? And then it's like, well, if you're hitting this amount of threes and your field goal percentage is still this, then like, why is it that it's there, Steve?
Can I make a quick comment?
Sure.
I think people have too much information. I think there's too many numbers out there. I think you can find any sort of a number to back up what you think, and now you're just stuck with, hey, I got evidence. And it's like, well, so do they. So now what are y'all doing? Y'all just exchanging graphs and pictures and box scores? Like, what are we? It's a lot. It's a lot for Elmo.